Well, Route 66 goes through this little town called Joplin, Missouri. It's not really little, actually. And actually, Route 66 goes right past the front of a church called Joplin First Church of the Nazarene. Well, I had contacted the pastor, and I said, Pastor, it's J. Dick, right? Pastor Dick. And he had said, oh, sure, come. And there was this, what I would call a maintenance guy was there. He was trying to fix the light fixture, I think, in the parsonage. And he walked through, and he said, you hungry? And I said, well, I haven't eaten. And he goes, well, eat what's in the refrigerator. That's what it's there for. And I thought, amen, thank you for that. And that person was Rick. And so then I came back here, and then out of the blue, a guy named Rick emailed the church and wanted to know what our services were. It seems that the big churches had not responded to him, and he wanted to be in worship Sunday, and he just wondered, if we would receive him. I said, well, we're small, but we certainly would welcome you. And we love God and love others here.
Amen.
And so this man from Joplin, Missouri, who had been my host, suddenly became our guest.
Yeah.
And so as God would have it, what a divine appointment that was.
Amen.
Well, one of the retiring general superintendents at General Assembly this quadrennial is Jess Middendorf. Jess Middendorf was Rick's pastor and had given him a local pastor's license. Something that perhaps he had not thought he would ever come and use again. But God has other plans.
Yes.
And God has made it possible for him to come and share his testimony about what God has done in his life. And you may be saying, well, what am I going to learn about? What do I need to learn about Rick for? And the point is not about Rick. The point is, what are you going to learn about what God can do?
Amen.
And then ask yourself, what does God want to do with me?
Yes.
And so we're going to invite him to come. And he's going to come and prepare his testimony. He's prepared it. He's prayed up. He's ready to go. And he's a little bit nervous. And so I don't know if we should applaud him or pray for him or just smile at him. But maybe we should just give him a round of applause as he comes and leads us in our service today.
You said your prayers? No? Come on, let's sing with you. Hold on. All right. Ready, set? In the name of the Father, of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us. Cecile, I don't need to pray.
I want to be kept on the Methodist like Mommy,
You do? And why is that, honey?
so I can play whatever I want.
That's a sin.
It's not a sin. God just made you hard-headed. It's not a sin. I tell you what, you wanna pray and thank God for our family?
Yes, sir.
Well, that's good. Well, then let's do it. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women,
you think about being a soldier and a father?
I hope that being good at the one makes me better at the other.
The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
This is the city, Joplin, Missouri, Jasper County. Pastor Dan has seen it and can testify that it is quite a place. In May 1963, I increased its population from 39,000 to 39,001. I grew up there, I was educated there, rode my Huffy bikes around those dirty streets I called home. Keep kidding, what happened to him? This is the house I grew up in. And if you believe my credit report, I purchased this home January 1963, just 5 months after conception, 4 months before birth. This is the church that I grew up in, was raised in. I was the first baby dedicated in the sanctuary in 1963. This is the reason why I'm here. If y'all stand, we're going to say the Bible verse that I'm basing this on. If you want to take the Pew Bible, it's on page 464. It's Proverbs 22:6. And I think most of us can quote this. Raise up a child in the way he should go. When he is old, he will not turn from it. I'll say a small prayer for the service, but we're going to say it again here in a minute after the prayer. Think of a child's name, because we're going to say it again together. And instead of child, say the name of the child that you have influence over. Son, daughter, granddaughter, grandchild, nephew, niece, cousin. Heavenly Father, just be with us today. Be with your speaker here as he would say what you want him to say, no more, no less. And may everybody's heart be open to what you want them to hear. And we ask this in your name. Amen. Amen. One more time. Raise up in the way that he or she should go. And when he is old, he will not turn from it. Thank you. You may be seated. I have the RCEV, the Richard Cecil Evans version. Raise up a child in the way you should go. Oh, excuse me. He calls me all the time. Okay. All right. That's all I needed. Just a little encouragement. Jesus Christ. Okay. I always hear people's phones go off. I always wanted that to come out and to say, okay, if it's Jesus, you can answer the phone. We won't stand in that way. But my version is raise up a child where he should go, and he will not depart far from it. And that's the way it seems today. Our kids are getting a little bit more further at the end of our leashes as we grow, as we train them up to go one way. They try to get to the end of the boundaries, and that seems to be what's happening. But the Bible does not say far from it. He will not turn from it. When I came into the world, I was greeted by two loving older sisters. Carol was 15, Brenda was 13. I was fine. Hand-me-downs were a little bit awkward, and teaching me to walk, sometimes I had that little bit of a wiggle, but don't blame me. I had two older sisters to learn from. Mom brought me to church Sunday after I was born. This is way back in the day when a mother and child was in the hospital for 3 or 4 days. Today, a child can go home with their mama sometimes the same day. Also, nowadays, you can see newborns weeks before they're scared to have them in the church because of the germs. But yet Walmart is very sanitized, I guess. My earliest memory, for some reason, was the televised funeral of John F. Kennedy. I can remember seeing the caissons with the flag-draped coffin, and I was only about 6 months old, but I guess it's one of those things that there's so much tragedy and everybody worried, and a child sensed it. I know I did. I kind of grew up with a great comedic philosopher, Grady Nutt. His parents kept him in church all the time to keep him from sinning, so he learned to sin in church. Actually, all the guys I grew up with Grady Nutt, knew Grady Nutt's meaning, like in the choir. Whoever sat next to Clifford Pennington, the tallest in the choir at 6'7", and of course he had the biggest robe, we would place a foot on each end of his robe that was gathered at the bottom. So when we went to stand, he'd stand up halfway and back down, and we'd look at him like he was crazy, and he'd start swapping at us. But one time we had a friend of mine back in the day of CB, or Citizen Band Radio. The guy I grew up with, who's now running the sound system at Joplin First, he went out to his dad's car instead of going to the restroom like he was supposed to. Over the sound system, we hear break 1 9. Before he got the 9 out, his daddy sat on about the 3rd row back, was shot up like a gun, ran out the door, and we didn't hear the televised version of that one. When I was in elementary, my most memorable times was Joplin District Church Camp, Camp Sagamore. It wasn't the fanciest camp, but it was the most memorable camp that we could ever have. I gave my heart to the Lord at the age of 8. My first remembrance of Sunday school teacher was my primary teacher, Miss Lakey, from Calvary Church of Nazarene. And whenever we attended First Church of Nazarene when I was about 10 or 11, but a few years after I was saved, I would run with a guy that lived across the street. And he found a pack of his dad's cigarettes, and he's like, well, smoke. All right, well, it didn't do nothing for me. All right, what's the big deal? Well, this will come up later in the story. But while in Joplin, in junior high, most memorable moments were being baptized in the Shoal Creek with the snakes, because we had to make sure we had one of our trustees make sure the snakes stayed away. And then joining Joplin First Church at the age of 12. I did play football my 8th grade year, and that's one reason that this body is in such a shape it's in. But I think it's part of the late night teachings too. Anyway, when I was in high school, I was active both in church and school. My junior year, I was the Nazarene Youth International Treasurer and delegate to the NYI District Convention. I was heavily involved in district functions. My senior year was a pivotal point in my life, both socially and spiritually. The summer between my junior and senior year, the pastor at the time was called to another pastor, and Brother Martin came into First Church. He, too, was also a very strong man of God. And at the time, I was in select boards at school, and church, I was the NY president, put me on the board. From the pulpit, Brother Martin was calling out sin is sin, and the direction our country was going was in the wrong direction. And this was all back in 1980, just before the Reagan era. Some of the members didn't like this new interface preaching, making us realize that we need to assess our lives. And I was on the district impact team, and two Sundays a month we would visit churches on the district. One Sunday I was gone. Mom informed me that a couple of ladies from the church were taking Brother Martin's sermons and sending them to the district superintendent. Well, okay, whatever. Well, then the next Sunday at the church, the pastor, out of the ordinary, not like here, he'd ask for testimonies, people stand up, that's fine. But he hardly ever did it, but this Sunday he did. A couple of people stood up, gave testimonies, and thanked the Lord. For some reason, the Holy Spirit shot me up. Thought, what am I supposed to say? Well, I told the pastor how the whole team group was behind him and loved and supported him. I told him I hated to miss when I was out on the impact team. I said the 2 ladies in the front row had the right idea to listen to your sermon and would play them throughout the week to make sure they didn't miss anything that the Lord had for them, that they might have missed the first time around. I sat down. That cut the fog. About 80% of the congregation testified, well, basically had something to say, in support of the pastor. And some even called out the ladies. Our board meeting, the DS came in and said there was nothing wrong with what the pastor said, and moved him to a brand new church, Joplin West Side. Well, it's funny, during the board meeting, that people on the board said, well, the DS is splitting the church. Well, actually, it wasn't the DS splitting the church. Satan using those against the pastor split the church. I was young, but I wasn't stupid. In May of that year, I turned 18, and I drove my girlfriend home from a birthday party, detoured over to Galena, Kansas, which was just across the state line. And of course, I bought a can of beer. Woohoo! I drove back home, opened it up, took a little swig, and my goodness, I felt like I was drinking turpentine. I spit that out, I tossed it out the window. In Missouri, I could have had 3 charges: underage drinking, driving with an open container, and littering. Again, like the cigarette trial, I realized Mom's protective prayers were up and working.
Amen.
I've never had to worry about any of that since. This teetering from Christianity followed me to Mid-America Nazarene College, who Mom thought would surely straighten me out. In my spring semester, I told my mom and dad that I was going to marry my girlfriend from Webb City the following summer. They continued to argue with me about it until a wise counsel from Pastor Larry Holmes. He said that I was headstrong, and if they fought me on it, they could lose me. The marriage only lasted about 6 months. A few years later, I really started to realize that all I did and didn't do when the marriage ended. When I got married, I forced God to put us on a different path than He originally had for us. When we divorced again, I forced God to put us on a different path. And since I asked specifically, I asked for forgiveness from the Lord. And more recently, and through other chains of events, forgiveness from my former wife and father-in-law, who passed 2 weeks after he gave me his forgiveness. The following months after we split up, I found Joan, or really she found me, and I had her move in with me. I was so far outside living right, my parents were getting ashamed of me. According to 1 Corinthians 5:11, because of my sexual immorality, they didn't really even have to associate with me because I was trying to say, yeah, I'm a Christian. No, I wasn't. I knew it. I just said I was, just to kind of keep them at bay. My mom did her best to convince me to try to go to Kansas City First Church of the Nazarene. I said the church was too big to care about us. So I thought I would be smart and just show Mom. I'll show her. One Sunday we went, filled out the visitor card, checked the block that said a visit from the pastor. The next day, got a call from Senior Pastor Wright. He would like to stop by and talk to Joan and I. So sure, well, that's fine. So he and Pastor Chick Shaver, bless his heart. For those who don't know him, he's the Billy Graham of Nazarene. They talked so kindly to Joan, but they all went 1 Corinthians on me. Pastor Wright said I knew better the way I was raised, and the Holy Spirit showed me yet again. 1 Corinthians 1:6-9-10. I was in the same boat as homosexuals, thieves, drunkards, swindlers, idolaters. None of us in these categories would ever see the kingdom of God. Heaven. That night, November 1983, we both gave our hearts to the Lord. I realized that Mom must have given Pastor Wright a heads up about us. There's many stories that Mom does heads up about that I didn't really know about till it's too late. Pastor Shaver introduced us to Chuck and Carla Sundberg, who led us through basic Bible studies. I felt so embarrassed because I had went to college with Carla, and she was general superintendent's daughter. Chuck and Carla sang at our wedding the following summer. I was feeling bad about the way that I acted and treated my family, so I knew that I needed the situation I was in, I needed to get out of. 1 Corinthians 6:18 says to flee from sexual immorality. So, flee I did. In 1984, I enlisted in USMC. I figured the best way God could ever punish me, Marine Corps boot camp. I proposed by mail just after I got into San Diego Marine Corps recruit depot. The day after boot camp, Joan and I got married. We just celebrated this last Friday, 33 years of marriage. Some ask, how can you stay together with one person for 33 years? I have to quote Rocky. He's either one or two. Polly says, I don't get it. What you see my sister? Rocky has to reply, oh, gaps. Polly says, what? Gaps? You know, gaps. She's got gaps. I got gaps. Together we fill gaps. And that was actually told in a family enrichment seminar by this, Gary Smalling. He quoted it as well. Brinks took us to Millington, Tennessee, Cherry Point, North Carolina to work on the new, at the time, Harrier airplanes avionics. I was on the church board, NY president, and trustee while at Cherry Point. After we were married 16 months, our oldest Cecil, named after his grandfather, and myself, that called after his grandfather, was 6 weeks early and born at the University of Carolina, and he was in NICU for 2 weeks. He's the one squatted down in front. In April 1988, my enlistment was up. I didn't know what to do, what God had in store for us. On a job hunt in Kansas City on a Wednesday night service, I gave the testimony I was just looking for work when my enlistment was up. Dick Fields happened to be the production supervisor at the Nazarene Publishing House. He told me, stop by, put my application in. Last day of the Corps was April 1st, 1988. I started Publishing House Monday, April 2nd. No lapse in time. God has ways of working things out. August of '88, while I was working at the Publishing House, I joined the Army Guard, and they were in Warrensburg, home of the Whiteman Air Force Base, where we were stationed. During this time, we were heavily involved in Kansas City First Church. Our family outings during the week was at the church, family, in some capacity, as a family, in some type of capacity. We were always there. In December 1990, Emily, she's the one on the right, Holden, my granddaughter, she came along, and she wanted to be 8 weeks early. Doctor approved Joan on breath aid and bed rest, and named from the Clifford the Big Red Dog series, Emily Elizabeth Evans, was born December 31st, my last minute tax deduction. That was Joan's idea for the name, which is funny. That's why we got married 33 years. I say, that's fine, huh? She tried to be born on the 30th, but the doctor sent Joan home. 6 hours later, Emily was born in our bathroom, and I was just so glad the boys were staying with my mom and dad in Joplin. And we all even got to be on the Kansas City TV news. In February 91, 33 days after Emily was born, I was asked to join a medevac unit from Jefferson City going to visit Storm. This was on Friday. They needed an answer basically Thursday. I had 4 fleeces. They understood. So 1 was Joan had to approve. 2, Emily had to be dedicated at Kansas City First Church by our new pastor, Jess Mendendorf. And number 3, that my dad had to approve. All I would say is, son, make a decision, you gotta live with it. The smartest thing he ever said, but it's the shortest and something I didn't want to hear. And the 4th was a guarantee that I wouldn't miss a check, a promise from the U.S. government that did not hold up. Because of my stint in the government, I was in the desert in 91, I was offered a job with Federal Civil Service at Whiteman Air Force Base. A few months after I started working for Civil Service, we moved to Sedalia, where we were going to Sedalia Nazarene Church. But again, we were very active, went through a couple pastors changed, one of which was Greg Crawford. They're now serving on the Ivory Coast as missionaries. In May 97, Natasha, she's the one between me and Joan. She's always between us for some reason. She was born 16 weeks early, straight up midnight in a 65-degree room, coming out of a 96-degree womb, and it just put her straight into shock because she was missing about 4 layers of skin. She was cardiac arrest from 12:05 to 1 o'clock. I just figured my dad, who passed in 95, wanted to see her, so God gave him an opportunity for an hour. Natasha Marie Evans. Marie covered my mother's middle name, Joan's middle name, and Joan's mother's middle name, so we flattered 3 women with 1 swipe. Chick Shaver from Kansas City First Church came up to the hospital and asked how we wanted him to pray for Natasha. I told him whatever the Lord's will is what we want. If he heals her and it's out of his will, we'll all be miserable. If the doctor takes her life and it isn't in his will, we'll be miserable as well. Chick was often glad that's the way we asked for our prayers. And Natasha was in the KC Children's Hospital for 5 months. She was actually featured on the cover of the Kansas City Star while in NICU, celebrating the hospital's 100-year anniversary. One time, my mom wanted us to take Natasha to St. Louis to see Benny Hinn, and if the Lord would heal her. When I heard from the Lord that He would heal Natasha in His own time. That wasn't what Mom wanted, but I had received confirmation about it, and she was happy about that. Mom did get to see Natasha walk before she died in 2000, and that was a big blessing for all of us. And it seems odd, but whenever she smiled about the age of 2, that was the biggest joy of my life. Because she never could. It was about this time that I felt God's calling to go to Nazarene Bible College and go into preaching. Kansas City First Church pastor and the board gave me 100% approval and gave me a local license. I was putting my notice at work. The house felt I needed to wait. Spoke with Pastor Middendorf. explained to him that if I wait a few years, I could have enough for my military retirement with my pay starting at 60 without missing a beat. He could, instead of confirming, wait. And you'll see what waiting means here later. And I considered this my Abraham Isaac moment. Due to Desert Storm Syndrome, I was given the option of retirement from the National Guard and medical retirement from the Civil Service. So I retired from the Guard in 2002. I put out resumes all over prior to my losing Civil Service position. I received an offer from Vanguard Airlines as a purchaser. 2 months later, they went bankrupt. When I got home that day, Joan said, "What are we going to do?" I said, "What we're going to do? We're going to pack up and take a trip to Virginia to see my dad's people." She thought I was nuts. But when we returned, the answer machine had a message from DynCorp. Wanted me to work at Naval Air Station, Pax River, Maryland. Really? Okay, Lord. As I worked in Maryland, we actively involved in Livestream Nazarene Church. When their missionary president passed away, his mantle more or less fell on me. We were real good friends. For the first time, I actually was the local missionary president, one position I love filling, but yet I never had the opportunity until then. We lived there 3 years, and after a few months, a man from the Nazarene Mission Aviation came to speak at the church. He offered me a position on the NMA board. The Lord has such a sense of humor. All the years that we lived in Kansas City on the district, I moved to the coast just to be put on a general board back in Kansas City. Go figure. The boys attended Nazarene Youth Congress in Houston. Joan and Tasha and I was able to represent NMA at their booth. With the death of 2 nephews 6 months apart from each other, we felt it was time to move back closer to family. The Thanksgiving before we moved, my oldest son, Cecil, mentioned to us that we were going to be grandparents. They got married the following Monday. That would be Maggie. In between him and Tina is Maggie with the flag on her shirt. I was offered a job at a mom and pop's aircraft repair facility in Blattle, Arkansas. Blattle, however you want to pronounce it. It's fine with them. It was 6 miles south of the Boot Hill, so we almost made it back to Missouri. I started working that following January. While in Arkansas through chain of events, we found a very loving, actually they kind of found us again, Baptist church for the 5 years we lived there. And I hope Mom wasn't spinning in her coffin because it was going to the Baptist church. But after about a year and a half, it really wasn't working out. So I went to got a job out of Pennsylvania, 100% travel, so it didn't matter where I lived, and worked there for about 10 years. And a few months after I started traveling, we got a call from Arkansas when I was traveling, and found out that, surprise, Emily was elected, and we had no clue. So I said, "Okay, does that mean that I need to stop traveling?" No. Even Emily, no. You stay working. But Emily I was hoping that she could have gotten to college, the Ozarks near Branson, the schooling. But that's a work school where they have the kids work for their education. I thought, "Lord, please let them get in there." That didn't work. He said he had other plans. But she did attend Southwest Baptist University in Bolivar. We were able to move and save $20,000 over 4 years in room and board. Lord is sweet. A few years after we were there, we found a church that was in Springfield, Missouri that had special needs classes for like Natasha. So we started attending Second Baptist. And then in her senior year in college, we knew I needed to get closer to home. So I started working for French's Foods, the mustard place in Springfield, Missouri. I was actually working more there than I was on the road. I saw my family more on the road than I did at work. So Modine Manufacturing offered me a position and moved to Joplin, and that's how I got back into Joplin. And it kind of full circle. We had a thoughtful church in Joplin, allowing me to stay in a host room while we tried to get transitioned. The devil was fighting us because a few months prior to my start time, we couldn't find a house anywhere. We were out of our house in Bolivar, but there was no place to go. Natasha was about ready to start high school. So we found something in Roebuck City. We just took what we could get. That's all part of the tornado, which is another story. With Modine, I felt more relaxed. I didn't mind my driver work. I told my boss I loved working there. Well, some other issues would come up with the plant manager, and my 89th day of my 90th day of probation, I left him with a handshake and a thankful heart. You know, I had no grudges. About 3 weeks of unemployment, I I went back to my former job traveling. The work ran out. 3 months later, my expense slush fund ran out, and I started working for a local company that built conveyors. I thought I'd stay home. No, I was on the road again. Well, then last October, Nomadic Corporation calls me. Now we're getting close to home. When my son-in-law, they even now allowed my son-in-law to start with me. That's Matt. He's back behind Emily. He's kind of hard to hide too. But then last summer, our pastor asked the board if they thought of a pastor passing through our town on Route 66 bicycle trip would mind staying in our host room. I said, why not? We're used to transients staying with us. Remember, I was one of those transients. Who knew but God, about 8 months later, I would be eating at his table. Both physical, spiritual, and meeting my brothers and sisters in Grand Rapids. Then there was April 5th. God put the square wheels on me to slow me down. That's a quote from Briscoe Darwin. Andy Griffith, for those who don't know. I really took the 5 days in the hospital, not just to heal physically, also spur myself up spiritually. God really took the time to show me some stuff. Well, I was fasting anyway, so I didn't let it go to waste. My sackcloth and ashes were actually an embarrassing hospital gown and an IV bag. Well, as far as my kids today, they're all married, of course, except Natasha. She graduated from high school last year, even with moderate cerebral palsy. God has used her in more ways than we could ever imagine. Even though she's a little bit slow, she's probably one of the brightest kids in her Sunday school. Cecil and Tina, they live in Springfield, where they're involved in Second Baptist Church. Cecil's 11-year-old, lives in Sedalia with her mom. 6-year-old son lives in New York with his mom. And John and Chrissy and their daughter Reagan live in Blytheville, Arkansas. They're involved in their church as well. Matt and Emily with their daughter Emma. Well, their play on words is about like what we ended up with. Her name is Emma Lee Howerton. Instead of Emily, we got 2 Emilys. So anyway, they live in Joplin. All of them are serving on the church board except for Emma. There's an adage, you can pick your friends, but you're stuck with your family. I feel that I'm doubly blessed when I can say family is my friends, both physically and spiritually. Because our spiritual family, we're stuck with them too. So we might as well be friendly with them because we're going to be in eternity together. The ones you have, I had an old Baptist lady tell me one time, the one that you have the biggest rub against is going to be your neighbor in heaven. I said, well, you know what? That's probably going to be true. What has happened in the last half century of my life, you just seen most of it. I'm curious about what God's going to do for the next half century. Rocky 1 through 5 movies pretty much captured my life, going back to them a little bit. There's a song in the 5th movie, it's The Measure of a Man. Back on the beat, back on the start, there's fire in your eyes, lines on your hands. It's the things you understand, permanent ties from which you once ran. It's a measure of a man. You come full circle, now you're home, without the gold, without the chrome. This is where you've always been. You had to lose so you could win. Rise above your troubles while you can. You can love, you can lose. Now you can choose. That's the measure of a man. Joplin to college, areas of employment that offered some monetary opportunities, and back to Joplin, and now back on the road. My roots are still in Joplin. Raise up a child in the way he should go, and he will not depart from it. Remember, it says that he will not depart from it. Just as you've heard, I did depart from it, but I never was too far out of the reach of the Lord.
Amen.
In closing, Romans 8:28. I always love the NIV versions, but to get plain and simple, I don't use it for study, is the Message Bible. Romans 8:28 out of the Message, 26 through 28. Meanwhile, the moment we get tired in the waiting, God's Spirit is right alongside helping us along. If we don't know how or what to pray, it doesn't matter. He does our praying in and for us, making prayer out of wordless sighs, aching groans. He knows us far better than we know ourselves. He knows our pregnant condition and keeps us present before God. That's why we can be so sure that every detail in our lives of love of God is worked into something
He hadn't quite turned from it, but he was deviating from it. And I was thinking about maybe some of us. Where are you at today? Are you raising children? Are you raising Rick? You may be the mother that never gave up, that continued to pray, that haunted him at his darkest moments. Maybe you're Rick, looking left and right, going to Desert Storm, wondering why all of this is happening to you, and needing to find a place of peace and trust in the midst of the storm. Maybe you're the child that has had so many struggles, and you feel like you're not quite able to measure up. Well, I'm not sure where you're at today, but as we close in prayer, I want you to know, as you've heard one man's testimony, that of God's faithfulness, God is faithful to you too. And so if you've strayed, welcome home. You know, this moment was a divine moment, much like I met Rick in Joplin and Rick met me in Michigan sitting at my table. God has divine appointments for each of you too.
Yes.
God has a plan for each of you too. Do you believe it? Do you believe that God has a plan for you? God has a plan for your life. You need not fear. Maybe you won't have to even join the Marines to be punished. I'm not sure. Getting through boot camp, maybe Larry would want to do a hoo-yah. I don't know how that all works. Did I say it right?
Hoorah!
Hoorah! Yeah, okay. All I know is that they say this back and forth, and it must mean go man, go team, or something. But as we prepare to leave, I just wonder, how's God spoken to you today? I was thinking about one of those verses in our scriptures, and I was thinking about, do you have a testimony? Do you have something that you're ready to share if someone were to call you out and say, hey, share with me what hope you have. Why do you follow Jesus? I just wanted to leave, if I can find it, 1 Peter. I'm looking while I'm talking. I can't do two things at once, just so that you know. 1 Peter 3:15 says, but in your hearts set apart Christ as Lord. Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give the reason for the hope that you have. But do this with gentleness and respect. Where would you share your testimony this week? Who will you share your testimony with this week? Would you stand with me? Father, we thank you for this testimony of your faithfulness and of an extraordinary human life lived through ordinary circumstances. Lord, you didn't create any of us to leave us. Lord, you have created your Spirit to come out and seek us so that we may be brought into a saving knowledge of Christ, so that we may live a full life. And so, Lord, if we are those people that you have called your children of God, help us in our own testimony this week to speak of your faithfulness to others. For you are good all the time, and we give you praise for it. Bless us as we leave this place. Keep us, and make your face to shine on us. We ask all this now in Jesus' name.